The word non-canon is a dangerous one in the FNAF franchise. It can lead the fandom down rabbit holes of theories of which nightmares are real, is Phasgoo an actual substance, and it can shut down theories about entire games within the franchise. But something that doesn't really get touched on a lot is which animatronics actually existed at all, and I'm talking about within the FNAF franchise. So that's what we're gonna try to figure out today. Slices, put on your aprons, and let's bake ourselves a theory. Also, by the way, if I look sickly and sound sickly, this is day 4 of my, I don't know if YouTube allows me to say it, Schmovich-19 quarantine. I'm vaccinated, so we're all good, but I don't feel very good at all. Also, there will not be a cat in this video because cats can contract it as well, so they're not allowed in my little bunker. I need something to... Yeah, okay. This feels okay. The format of this video is going to be a bit different because there's a lot of different characters to talk about and not all of them have the same situation. So we're pretty much just going to go chronologically through the games and talk about individual characters as they come up. I would start with FNAF 1, but there isn't really much to talk about here. Nothing really fits the bill for non-existent characters. Granted, Golden Freddy is here and he might be a hallucination or a ghost or something, but the animatronic is Fredbear. Like, we know him. He's right there. However, we start running into trouble in the very next game, FNAF 2. As some of you may know, I have some strong opinions about this game, but one of the more confusing aspects of it deals with a small child animatronic that wears a pinstripe suit and can't kill you. What? No, not Balloon Boy. JJ. Yeah, remember JJ? Because honestly, 80% of the time, I don't. She's a very rare Easter egg that can appear under your desk in the middle of FNAF 2 for no reason and goes away very quickly. Immediately, my gut was like, this is an Easter egg, it's just a hallucination, it's like when the poster changes, dismiss it. But then she appears again in FNAF World, rather prominently, and she appears in Ultimate Custom Night, with a name on the main screen. But if she is real, it begs the question, why? Why in the world would Fazbear Entertainment make a Balloon Boy and then make a purple one, call it JJ, and call it a day? And then never officially mention it in the actual Fazbear brand at all. Honestly, looking over the evidence, part of me wants to admit that JJ isn't canon, but I hesitate because of Ultimate Custom Night. I can excuse an incredibly rare Easter egg in a very early game in the franchise, and I can excuse FNAF World. After all, the coffee machine from Desolate Hope is a playable character. Being in FNAF World doesn't mean you are a canon character, but Ultimate Custom Night is a lot more connected to the actual FNAF storyline. Not in every way,
Dear Diary,
but in the roster. Every other character that you can summon in here has some connection to a real FNAF thing. Even Old Man Consequences, if you consider my theory that FNAF World is taking place simultaneously with Ultimate Custom Night. And if that's the case, why wouldn't JJ also be a real thing in the FNAF franchise? But here's the thing, I don't think JJ was ever a real animatronic. I think she was a toy. No, not those toys. Look, FNAF 4 shows us that the toy animatronics were based off of actual toy designs that existed long before the FNAF 2 location. Look, she's playing with a toy Chica. When redesigning the animatronics, they opted for these more child-friendly designs. That being said, if they had a toy version of Balloon Boy, I could totally see them having a female variant named JJ. It just makes sense to diversify the products you have to get more kids involved. And that way, if Jeremy Fitzgerald grew up with these toys, he would have the image of JJ primed in his mind, perfect for hallucinations. And Charlotte and Cassidy would also know about JJ when they create their own respective realms. So final verdict, we have no evidence stating that JJ was ever a canon real animatronic, but she very possibly was a real toy in the Fazbear franchise, and that toy is what spawned all of this imagery. What about other characters in FNAF 2? Well, the only other ones that jump to mind are Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. Pause. Are some of you mad that I said Shadow Bonnie and not RWQ? Well, read it and weep. The character encyclopedia on the RWQ page officially says, quote, also known as Shadow Bonnie. You can't make me say RWQ FSF ASXC anymore. I've done my time. I'm saying Shadow Bonnie. Anyway, since they appear so frequently in the franchise, I definitely think they exist, but not as animatronics. Like, this wouldn't make sense as a real animatronic. It's most likely a creature made of remnant or agony or some other kind of angry spirit. That's all for FNAF 2, on to FNAF 3. Oh, and a quick aside, this video was actually suggested by a community member. Every now and then I'll post community posts on YouTube that are members only and ask for prompts for upcoming videos, and sometimes I'll use them. So thank you to Emberisk for the suggestion. Also, the video where I hated on FNAF 2 for like 15 minutes was a member suggestion. I didn't mention it in the video because I was afraid that video would get a lot of hate and I didn't want it directed at the member, because the member didn't say hate on FNAF 2. The member just said, what are your opinions on FNAF? So thank you to Lose Harriet for the suggestion on that video. I just didn't want to put it there because I didn't want them to have any flack for my hot and based and correct opinion. Anyway, FNAF 3 doesn't really have anyone I think would qualify in this category. Sure, there's Spring Bonnie as Springtrap as we see him, or this appearance of Shadow Freddy, but both of those are like real things. We can trace where they came from. Springtrap came from Spring Bonnie, Shadow Freddy is a continuation from FNAF 2. Any animatronic parts we see here, we have no reason to believe they're fake in any way. Moving on. FNAF 4 does present us with a strange issue though. The question being the Nightmare animatronics, and by extension, Plush Trap. Are they real animatronics, or are they illusion disc creations by William? For a while, I assumed they were either purely nightmares from either the Crying Child or Michael, or real animatronics designed by William to torment the Crying Child or Michael in the FNAF 4 bedroom. But something was noticed on the new render of the Nightmare endoskeleton we get in the character encyclopedia. We see this strange object on the spine of the endoskeleton. Now, this could just be lighting and dirt, but the theory goes that this looks almost identical to the power module we see on Funtime Freddy in Sister Location. The same power module that's suspected to actually be an illusion disc. If this is true, it really could bolster the idea that the Nightmare animatronics are just blank endoskeletons or blank animatronics with an illusion disc, exactly like we see in the Twisted One novels. Not to mention the recent idea posed by Game Theory on a short saying that Nightmare is just Nightmare Fredbear's illusion disc beginning to malfunction, which is why he seems somewhat transparent and his jump scare is just garbled audio. At the end of the day, we don't have a lot of evidence in either direction, but I'm pretty confident to say that no matter what, these Nightmare animatronics didn't actually exist in the real world. They were either part of a nightmare by Michael or the Crying Child, or they were illusion discs by William. And yes, they appear in Help Wanted, but an appearance in Help Wanted doesn't mean they are a physical animatronic. It just means that Fazbear is expressing them as a character, which we're gonna get into very soon. Okay, if this map is any indication, then that's it. That's gotta be it. The monster that's been after me is gone. I should be good to... There were two. There were two. There were two. I think it's gone. Okay. I've got a clear shot to the door. It's now or never. Go! What the hell? Okay. I got this. Shit. Shit, no! Wait, it worked. Oh, thank God. I can finally relax a little. I think. Where am I? Weird, there's a sign on the wall. A job opening. It says... Welcome to Nightshift, a live event being hosted Sunday, March 26th to showcase 35 upcoming FNAF fan games. It'll be presented in video format on the Nightshift YouTube channel, which you can find right here. It's a huge production being put together, and myself is being included in the voice cast. It'll be a great time. I hope to see you there, and I'll be in chat with you. But be warned, I hear there's something in these woods. Oh, I'm sorry. There's something in the woods? God, I just wanted one place to be. One place that wouldn't be, like, infested with Come on, aren't there any stairs to these places? Do I always have to clip out of... Oh, God. And great, I left the map in the office. All right. Back to square one. Sister Location has 3 animatronics I want to talk about: Lolbit, Bonnet, and Yenndo. And before you say anything about the Night 4 Springlock suit, listen, it's a real Springlock suit. We don't know what it is. So like, it's a real thing that existed, we just don't know what the thing is. First up, the easiest one. Bonnet. Like, sure, you look at it and it's like, why would Bonnet be a real thing? But also, why wouldn't it be? Not to mention, Bonnet appears in Ultimate Custom Night and Help Wanted, and she even shows up on arcade machines in Security Breach. So I think she's definitely real. Most likely, Bonnet was able to be switched off with Bonbon depending on the type of party Funtime Freddy went to. After all, kids' birthday parties are often very themed around the gender of the child. So if it was going to a quote-unquote girly party, then Funtime Freddy could swap out Bonbon for Bonnet because it's more girly, quote-unquote. Lolbit gets a little bit complicated. On one hand, Lolbit is definitely an established character in the Fazbear franchise. We see her in FNAF World, Help Wanted, and even on arcade machines in Security Breach. She is definitely a character that exists in the Fazbear franchise. That being said, I don't think her animatronic ever really existed. After all, the only time we ever see a physical model of Lolbit is within Help Wanted, a digital game. I'm inclined to say she never existed as an animatronic, but was planned to be. Looking at the way Circus Baby Pizza World was opened and shut, I could see more animatronics being planned to be created, Lolbit being one of them. But after the Elizabeth incident happened and the restaurant never opened, the plans were scrapped, but there was still media of Lolbit in existence. Lolbit could have existed in the branding, there could be toys of Lolbit, and that's why even though Circus Baby Pizza World never had Lolbit as an official animatronic and we never see an official model, we see them appear in Help Wanted, and we see them appear on TV screens in Security Breach's arcade machines. Now, the enigma. Yenndo. What the hell even is this thing? I've seen people say Yenndo is just an Easter egg and don't think about it, and I swear I've seen people say Yenndo is the most important animatronic in Sister Location. I don't know what to think about Yenndo. I tend to lean on him just being an Easter egg or bonus character to fill out the roster, mainly because he's never referenced again. He's not in Ultimate Custom Night, he's not on a Security Breach arcade machine, he's not even in FNAF World, and L-Chip appears twice in FNAF World. He functions as Sister Location's Golden Freddy. He'll appear at random in your office, you pull up your monitor, get him away, and if you don't, you see a very weird jump scare. But I don't think he's literally an incarnation of Golden Freddy. At best, he's some extra wiring that was left around and is possibly remnant infected, or maybe an early version of Ennard. I'm not sure. All I know is he's not literally an animatronic. Finally, onto FNAF 6. Wait, why finally? There's other games in the franchise. Frankly, I don't see a point in touching on them. Mainly because I don't see any doubt of animatronics existing in the later games. Security Breach, all of those definitely exist. Help Wanted, it's all a game, we don't have to worry about it. I do hear some confusion on Special Delivery, but personally, I believe Special Delivery exists within the FNAF franchise like it does in real life, aka an AR game that got hacked. I don't actually think Special Delivery is constantly sending out copies of animatronics. Maybe a few, but not constantly new and new animatronics. How could they even do that output? That being said, all the skins in Special Delivery I don't think are actual real animatronics, but are otherwise just skins that you can see using the AR app. Now, FNAF 6. Who in FNAF 6 could possibly not be real? First off, technically speaking, you could argue that all of the non-aggressive animatronics you can buy within the game are not official Fazbear animatronics. After all, most of them are made by Henry. But that's not to say they never existed. The animatronic I think never existed in FNAF 6 is Molten Freddy. Hear me out. I'm not saying Molten Freddy as a concept never existed. I'm saying Molten Freddy as we see him never existed. In other words, he definitely is real, he just doesn't look like that. If Molten Freddy really is our storyteller prototype and eventually becomes the Blob, why would he go from having a Funtime Freddy mask to an Ennard mask to whatever this is to back to a Funtime Freddy mask? I think Steelwool and Scott are attempting to do a slight retcon on Molten Freddy's design. Essentially, still Molten Freddy, but having this burnt Funtime Freddy face we see on the Blob, which, to be fair, that makes a lot more sense. But that is still pretty speculative on my part. Regardless, I don't think this visual ever technically existed in the current FNAF timeline. I will say, if you're confused on what I'm talking about when I mention the storyteller, you should probably check out this video here because it's a pretty big lore drop in a recent FNAF book. But all in all, I think that's every animatronic that isn't a real, in-universe, actually existing animatronic. Did I miss any? Or do you think any of these characters actually existed? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, a huge shout out to the best patrons, the Toasted Slices, Emberisk, Charlie Bean, Lovey Puppy, Stormachow, Just BKZ, Chickpea, Lola Fembo, The Viper 26, Lehan, James Reiner, Emily De La Sierra, Givo, Snowblossom, Comrade Nika, Raven Eris, Glamrock Bonnie is an Agani, Bucky Ray, Mystic Angel, The Idiot Central, Mac Dave, Phantom Plays, Emmy Layton, Inkline Game Studios, Achilles, Memento Mortem, Supermoosh, Anna Ray Johnson, Jackson Davis, II, Untrusted Life, Kevin's Adventures, Blake, John Man, Natty C, King Coda, Dionysus, and MD Switchy. And until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.